Have you ever had a crush so intense, it kept you awake all night, questioning everything you thought you knew about love? This isn't just a love story, this is obsession, mystery, and a night that changes everything. Stay with me till the end, because the final twist will leave you speechless, and if you love stories that hit deep and stay with you long after they end, make sure you subscribe right now, because this channel is where stories come alive. It started with a glance, the kind that lasts half a second but somehow rewires your entire existence. And for Ethan Brooks, that moment happened on a rainy Thursday night when the neon lights outside the cafe blurred into streaks of color and the world seemed to slow just enough for him to notice her sitting by the window, fingers wrapped around a coffee cup she wasn't drinking, eyes fixed on something far beyond the glass as if she was waiting for a life that hadn't arrived yet. And in that instant, Ethan felt something strange, something powerful, something that didn't feel like attraction but more like recognition, as if he had known her in another life or perhaps in a dream he had forgotten, and he told himself it was nothing, just another passing crush, the kind that fades before sunrise, but that night proved him wrong because he couldn't sleep, not even for a minute, his mind replaying the way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the way her expression shifted between sadness and quiet hope. And by 3 a.m., he found himself scrolling endlessly through social media trying to find her, not even knowing her name but convinced that the universe wouldn't show him something so vivid without a reason. And the next day he returned to the cafe, earlier this time, heart pounding like he was about to step into something irreversible, but she wasn't there, and the absence hit harder than he expected, leaving him with a strange emptiness that lingered throughout the day until night fell again, and with it came the same restless energy, the same sleepless obsession, and by the third night, when she finally reappeared, it felt less like coincidence and more like fate, and this time he didn't hesitate, he walked over, sat across from her, and before he could second-guess himself, he said the only honest thing he could think of, that he hadn't been able to sleep since he saw her, and instead of being creeped out or annoyed, she smiled, not warmly but knowingly, as if she had been expecting him to say exactly that, and she introduced herself as Lila, her voice soft but steady, carrying a kind of weight that suggested she wasn't as simple as she seemed, and their conversation unfolded like something scripted yet unpredictable, jumping from meaningless small talk to deeply personal confessions in minutes, as if time didn't apply to them the way it did to everyone else. And when the cafe closed, neither of them wanted to leave, so they walked through the quiet streets, the rain now reduced to a mist that clung to the air like a secret, and Lila began to say things that unsettled Ethan. Not because they were strange but because they were accurate, too accurate. She knew things about him he hadn't told anyone, fears he hadn't admitted even to himself, and when he asked how, she simply said that some connections don't need time to grow, they just need the right moment to awaken. And as the hours passed, Ethan realized he wasn't tired at all, despite having barely slept for days, as if being around her was fueling him in some inexplicable way, and by sunrise, he was certain of one thing. This wasn't just a crush, this was something consuming, something dangerous, but he didn't care, because for the first time in his life, he felt seen, truly seen, and the days that followed blurred into a pattern of sleepless nights and intense encounters, each one deeper than the last, each one pulling him further away from his normal life. His friends noticed the change, the way he seemed distant, almost haunted, but he brushed it off, insisting he was just busy. Even though he couldn't remember the last time he had a full night's sleep. And yet he didn't feel exhausted, he felt alive, more alive than ever, until the night everything shifted, when Lila didn't show up, and for the first time, the silence felt unbearable, and Ethan waited for hours, refreshing his phone, pacing the streets, replaying every conversation, every detail, searching for a clue he might have missed, and when he finally returned home, there was a message waiting for him, but it wasn't from her. It was from a number he didn't recognize, containing just one line, "She's not who you think she is," and a location pinned beneath it, and against his better judgment, Ethan went, driven by a mix of fear and desperation, and what he found there wasn't Lila but a man who claimed to have been exactly where Ethan was now, obsessed, sleepless, convinced he had found something real, only to discover that Lila had a pattern, appearing in people's lives, drawing them in, and then disappearing, leaving them changed in ways they couldn't explain, and Ethan wanted to dismiss it as nonsense, jealousy, or even delusion, but deep down, something didn't feel right, especially when the man showed him photos, different people, Different times, but the same girl, unchanged, untouched by time, and that's when the realization hit him like a shock. Lila wasn't just a mystery, she was something else entirely, something beyond explanation, and when she finally returned the next night, as if nothing had happened, Ethan confronted her, demanding answers, and for the first time, her expression shifted, not to anger or fear, but to something almost sad, and she told him the truth, that she existed in moments, not in time, that she was drawn to people who felt too deeply, who lived on the edge of something more, and that every connection she formed came with a cost, because no one could stay with her without losing a part of themselves, their sleep, their sense of reality, their grip on what was normal, and Ethan realized then that his sleepless nights weren't just emotional, they were something deeper, something she was taking from him without him even noticing, and the final twist came when she gave him a choice, to walk away now and forget her completely, waking up as if none of this had ever happened, or to stay, to continue this intense, consuming connection, knowing that eventually, he would lose everything else, and as the sun began to rise, Ethan stood there, torn between the life he knew and the feeling he couldn't let go of, and in the end, he made his choice, not by speaking, but by stepping closer to her, accepting the unknown, and as the world around them faded into the quiet light of morning, Ethan realized something chilling yet beautiful, that some crushes aren't meant to fade, they're meant to consume you completely, and in that moment, he understood that he might never sleep again, but for the first time, he wasn't afraid, because some nights are worth losing everything for.